Hello and welcome to Current Issues with me, Tarun. Is a consensus on the goods and services tax among political parties, especially the BJP and the Congress, already done? Will we see GST, the light of the day, in the coming days? We will debate GST in detail, as along also the objections that the parties have and what are the possible solutions and have they been arrived at, because indications are that there is a kind of a consensus between the Trinamool Congress or Mayawati's BSP and all other parties including the Congress on the GST. Joining me on today's discussion are Gopal Krishna Agarwal. He is national spokesperson of the BJP and the head of the economic cell also. We've got Ashish Dua, spokesperson of the Congress party, and Ashutosh Misra. He's a senior journalist and editor. I'll first go across to the BJP spokesperson. Gopal, can you tell me finally, are we seeing the light of the day for GST?
Yes, I think there is a larger consensus on all the issue and all the contentious issues which were debated over the long period of time. There seems to be consensus on them, and everybody has agreed on the larger picture that GST is good for the economy. There are issues which have been sorted out, and it will bring transparency, it will bring ease of doing business, and it will reduce the cost to the consumers, and there will be less of Inspector Raj.
Okay.
All these issues, all these benefits combined together will give a fillip to the economy, and therefore it will catalyze the economic growth further.
Okay.
So therefore it should be brought about.
Okay. So before I move on to the Congress spokesperson, I have a range of reactions that have come from the Prime Minister himself along with the Congress leaders and leaders of other parties. My team will play it out for you right away.
पहले दिन से कह रहे हैं कि जीएसटी बिल पास करनी है, बुनियाद तो हमने बनाया, ये तो मानेगा ना। तो जब हम कह रहे हैं तो क्या सरकार की जिम्मेदारी नहीं बनती? जो सलाह हमने दिया है उसके बारे में चर्चा तो करें।
अभी जीएसटी बिल के बारे में तो मैंने आपको पिछले सत्र में भी बताया था, फिर मैं आपको बताना चाहती हूँ कि जब ये विधेयक आएगा तो हमारी पार्टी कुछ सुझाव जरूर रखेगी, तो कुछ सुझावों के साथ इसका हमारी पार्टी समर्थन करेगी।
But as far as I'm concerned, I've always stressed that this is a Congress initiative to begin with. We have been in favor of the GST from the very start. Our problem has been that the way in which the government changed the GST provisions in their bill, we found unsatisfactory. I'm sure if the government moves in that direction, we in turn will move in the direction of voting for it.
देश को एक नई गति देने के लिए बहुत ही उत्तम स्तर की चर्चा हो, बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय हो, तेज गति से देश आगे बढ़े, इसके लिए सब मिल करके कंधे से कंधा मिला करके संसद में देश को दिशा देने का काम हो।
So Ashish Dua of the Congress party, you heard all the comments. Gopal has already given his opening comment. What would be your opening comment for today's debate?
Tarun, I am glad BJP has seen the reasoning that Congress had been giving since 2007
yes.
On the GST bill, and the merits of the GST bill had been clearly laid out before the country. When 2007 the empowered group of finance ministers was set up, and even the bill was introduced in 2011 after thrashing out the entire standing committee provisions, the other empowered committees. So, but that bill also lapsed in 15th Lok Sabha. BJP opposed it for past 7 years, then in opposition, and even the Chief Minister, then Chief Minister of Gujarat, the present Prime Minister, was strongly, vehemently opposed to the GST bill. But now I'm glad, you know, as the Prime Minister has seen reasoning, our BJP spokesperson have also started seeing reasoning into the merits of the GST, which creates a common harmonized market across the country, which is beneficial for better movement of goods, smoother movements of goods across the country. 2-3 points I would try to make out in the beginning.
Yes.
What has been put in last 2 years by BJP as showing that Congress is opposed to the bill. We have never been opposed to the bill. This is our bill. We've been supportive of the bill. But 2 years, if you see, the attitude of this government initially had been of arrogance, of berating the opposition, of belittling the opposition on political issues, and throbbing of Article 356 that they wanted to put over the people by trying to show that country has become Congress Mukt. But that has not happened, never will happen. So now, if you see from May 14 when they came in power, these 2 years of delay, I would put that BJP has delayed the bills. Congress has not delayed the bill. If you see from May 14 to November 15, when Prime Minister first broke the ice and he met the senior leadership of the Congress party. After that, if you see, even from November 2015, initial meeting or preliminary meeting, as told by Finance Minister Arun Jaitley ji, has happened a few days back. So what were they doing all through this time? When even after the tea meeting in November 15, they spent close to 7-8 months doing nothing over the bill.
Okay. I'm taking your point and I'm moving on for the opening comment of Ashutosh. You can come back again. Ashutosh Misra, I will just read out a few facts to you before you give your opening comment. Where are the hurdles here? The main hurdles currently even which have not been resolved, I am told, whereas on the overall framework there is a certain consensus, there are certain issues like the Congress wants the GST rate to be capped at 18% and specified in the bill itself. The bill which was passed in the Lok Sabha in May doesn't specify the rate. According to the bill, GST Council headed by Finance Minister will decide the rate. Government is against fixing the rate in the legislation. It wants to leave it open-ended. Fixing the rate will require constitutional amendment each time the cap needs to be raised. Now, these are major issues. Though there is a consensus, do you think these could be the possible spoilers?
These could be possible spoilers, but there are bigger issues which have not yet been sorted out. Now, there was a report in June that the tax officials, state tax officials and CBEC are at loggerheads as to how to tax. The states want that turnover till 1.5 crore should be handled by states. CBEC says if you take away our powers, we are toothless and every state will have its own interpretation. Even otherwise, if you see, we have to have a network, computer network, which is still not in place. So all this, what they are saying are generalities. There is a lot of work to be done for GST to be implemented. Now, even when it's implemented, it will take at least 2 years.
Because all states have to give their
states have to.
Okay.
And that's why now this rush.
I take your point. It's a good one. I'll go to Gopal at this moment. Gopal, as my panelist here says that even if it is passed in the Rajya Sabha, it will take 2 years for all the states to give their assent. But Gopal, could you also throw light on the kind of points that I raised, which are hurdles even now, including the cap and the bill passed doesn't. What do you think of all this? Can all this be sorted in this session itself? Because we've got about 2.5 weeks to go.
Definitely, I think whatever the debates are, they have already been settled. One thing is that when we are talking of a revenue neutral rate and segregating the contentious issues that like alcohol, petroleum product and other those products, then the revenue neutral rate comes to around 18 to 20%. And when we are talking of ring fencing them, and an independent body like GST Commission to decide the rate, so ultimately very little is left to in the hands of the government that what rate will be there. It will be definitely be coming around 18 to 20%, and that is the important to settle the lower rate for GST in overall picture. That luxury items like and this items like alcohol etc. have been kept out because they attract higher tax rates, and if they are included then the neutral rate will become higher. GST rate will have to be kept higher. Therefore, they have been segregated and the rate will be kept low as has been asked by all the parties and has been agreed. Second thing is that the issue that infrastructure that is required for implementation, the government is already moving into that line where infrastructure with regard to IT, with regard to form filling and with regard to credit, send credit that is required for the businessmen to get the credit. So those infrastructure definitely will take time, but the government is moving in that direction, and that IT infrastructure will be in place by the time it is implemented. Therefore, we know that passing of the bill is one important part, but its implementation and getting permission from the states, passing it at least 50% of the state legislative is also important part. And therefore, when we are talking of not putting this bill to only brute majority but consensus of all the state government, and all the regional parties have already consented that they agree to this bill. Therefore, we think that they will be cleared. And ultimately, the larger picture is that once this bill is passed, this is not the end in itself. There can be further amendments, and it will be a continuous process. And that we are talking that GST bill once introduced, there will be continuous process of improvement and further legislative reforms if it is required. So that is the important thing, is that the BJP is open to changes, BJP is open to debate. BJP at the larger picture is saying that it will help the economy to catalyze it in further growth. It will bring transparency, it will bring ease of doing business.
Okay, I've taken a larger point, Gopal, on GST. We'll speak on other issues also. But Ashish, Gopal has made his point. Yes, you want to speak, you want to tell something?
Tarun, in fact, the questions that you asked, I don't think so they have been clearly answered by the BJP spokesperson. Okay. I'll clarify for the audience and for the picture to be bigger.
Yes.
As you see, the optics are different from whatever is on the ground.
Yes.
Because the working for the central GST, for the state GST, for interstate GST, all has to be worked out in time to come. The infrastructure has to be put in place. And I don't know on what basis they had announced the date of 1st April 2016 as the date of implementation of the entire thing, where you have to take into account the various indirect taxes that have to be included.
You tell us what has not been clarified by me.
Let me clarify. You had your turn.
Don't clarify. You tell me
first
which point has not been clarified by me.
Let me say. I'm just
then
coming.
you make your own statement. Don't comment on what I have said.
You said you were not clear about the rate capping. But we say that the expert panel headed by the chief economic advisor.
No, I have said it very clearly.
Had also suggested
I have said very clearly that this will be a revenue neutral.
No. In fact, I wanted to say
the rate to be around 18 to 20%.
Absolutely, you are not clear. You are not clear on the fact that as petroleum products, tobacco, alcohol, as you want to keep out of the revenue neutral rate or the cap. But the problem is electricity rates in different states.
They have been kept out of GST. They have been kept out of GST just to keep the low rate for GST and other products.
So if you keep these products out of the capped rate, then you have a situation where you have high rates of the inputs for electricity, and as such the state electricity boards are bankrupt. So where do you get electricity at a price which is for the consumer? And for capital goods,
electricity is not coming under GST.
You are heading the economic cell. No, but let me come to that.
It is for
the capital goods
manufacturing, production, sale and purchase. I think Ashish Duaji, you are quite confused on what electricity rates etc. are not being decided under GST.
Of the core group of the steel and cement manufacturing. So these are issues where you yourself are still not clear. Things have to be clarified on these. And the main 3 points.
We are very clear. You ask what you want to ask. We can answer you.
No.
The bill is in the public domain.
Not.
Bill is in public domain. I have very
you are still not
in
clear.
detail gone
You are
into
still
it.
not clear on the 18% rate. You are still not clear on the 1% additional tax that you propose, and which will have a cascading effect over the economy.
We are clear.
Over interstate
We are
movement
very
of
clear
goods, which you are not
that
clear.
We are saying that it will be revenue
cleared all
neutral
these
rate
issues,
and we will not put it under the cap in the constitution.
Why didn't you come? Why didn't you come to the negotiating table for all these months, all 2 years, and you were always throwing the gauntlet, and you are threatening the opposition that we'll get the bill passed despite the opposition. How can you?
You will talk everything except GST.
So Ashish has taken your point.
Higher rate is neither beneficial nor desirable for the economy
So
to grow.
Ashish,
So
you
that's
spoke
why
of the
18%,
1% entry tax. Is that still an issue?
Which is a good rate for all three. No, that should not be there. I mean, that is an issue.
Okay, I'll go to Gopal for a moment before I come to Ashutosh. Gopal, the 1% entry tax is still an issue, is
We
it?
have a demand that 1% additional tax should not be there.
No, actually, we are open to discussion because some states were manufacturing states were demanding 1% additional GST, as they were saying that they have a higher loss in their system. So therefore, we have given them a permission, that we have given them a clarification that as the center will compensate them for all their revenue losses.
Okay.
So they need not worry about that loss of 1%. So if at the parliament debate everybody agrees that this 1% should not be levied, we are agreeing to it, and we know that the state government, many of the state governments like Kerala and Maharashtra, who were objecting because they were thinking that 1% they will not be allowed to levy extra 1%, that the central government has said that we will compensate you for 5 years for any revenue loss, so therefore you need not worry. So we have clarified those issues. Ultimately, finally, there are two, it is a two-tier tax. One is state GST at the state level, one is GST at the central level.
I've taken your point, Gopal.
And
I'm going across to
GST will
Ashutosh.
consume the...
And there's interstate
Just
GST
a minute,
as
I'm
well.
going to Ashutosh. I'm reading out a small number of points to explain to the people why GST in turn is important. Look at the number of taxes that GST will subsume. It will subsume the central excise duty, additional excise duty, the additional customs duty, special additional customs duty, countervailing duty, service tax, and cesses and surcharges. The state taxes which will become GST are VAT and sales tax, tax on interstate sales, local taxes, entertainment tax, purchase tax, mandi tax, luxury tax, tax on lottery and betting, and service tax. So Ashutosh, with the kind of list I have read out, don't you think this is also very beneficial for the people? And since you don't represent any political party, could you tell me that there is a lot of politics behind the optics? Because earlier the BJP opposed when UPA was ruling, now the Congress is finding reasons to oppose. Do you think you see some kind of a political optics to this?
Yeah, there is a lot actually there is a lot of politics in this. Whichever party is able to get the GST bill passed,
Yes.
will earn brownie points. It will say this is the most important economic reform for which constitution will be amended.
For credit, Ashutosh.
Yes, that is the first thing. Now, why the other party wants to delay it? Because we are told that GST will add 1 to 2% to the GDP.
Yes.
But for that to happen, it will take at least 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Now, the BJP wants that it should happen well before the 2019 elections.
Certainly.
Congress knows that if this happens, then Mr. Modi gets the credit, and if the people gain, then Congress is already in trouble, they will be in deeper trouble.
Yes.
So there is a lot of politics.
There is a lot of politics behind it.
And in the long term, consumer will gain.
Yes.
But in the short term, we will suffer.
Yes.
Consumers will have to pay higher tax on a lot of things.
Okay.
Just for example, service tax.
I'm going to Ashish. He wants to comment on the point you made. Yes, Ashish, what point do you want to make?
See, this nominal percentage of GDP, people on the ground are seeing what is happening.
Yes.
The percentage that has been come with a recalculated, reworked model of 7.5% or 7.6% actually turns out to be about 5.3% or so.
Yes.
And when you see on the ground, when you go on the ground, the high prices, the unemployment, no job generation, your exports being down, your manufacturing down, your people losing jobs. So people see through it. They will not go on the numbers, and I'm sure whatever dressing up of the GDP number will happen with this also. If on the ground there's no result, then people will not buy it.
Ashish,
another thing,
yes.
What I wanted to clarify.
Yes, please tell me.
What I want to clarify on this entire thing, that the Congress opposition to this is on merit. It is neither partisan nor illegitimate nor political, and neither aimed at bargaining. It is for the public good. It is for the economy to grow, and it is beneficial for all three cycles of producer, distributor, and consumer.
Okay, I take your point.
Which we are
I
worried
take your
about,
point. Gopal
and which
wants
we
to come
want it
in.
to happen.
Okay, Gopal, yes, go ahead and make your point. You were raising your hand. Yes.
What I want to say, what I want to say is that we are not discussing GDP growth rate. I can explain you why this is a correct system and why how the data is correct. So let us stick to what GST will be benefiting to the economy. And what I think is that everything, all the aspirations of stakeholders, contentions or issues have been incorporated. There is a general consensus that GST will be beneficial, and we don't fight for credit. We are saying that we never deny that Congress introduced it, but that has been improved a lot, and there is improvement has taken place over 8 years, and now all the contentious issues have been rectified. Let the Congress, we request the Congress and all parties to support this bill, and let this bill be passed, and let the people of the country get benefit out of it. Why we are Congress is always saying that because talking on the history, if it is beneficial at present juncture, if it is beneficial in the present form, let us come together and pass this, and let people have benefit of it, let our economy have benefit of it.
Gopal, one small question would be, you've been discussing this issue with the Congress for a long time now. Do you see the opposition as part political and part that they have genuine concern? What is your stand on this? Because the Congress also wants GST. It never said it doesn't want. So do you see this as part politics and part genuine demands?
The objection they are raising, we are always agreed that if you have any objection to GST, let the bill be placed in the parliament, discuss those issues, and your even objections will be discussed, and let the parliament decide in the what they want with the bill, and what they want about the provisions and changes they want to do.
Okay, Ashish.
For this, the Congress was not agreeing. It was disrupting parliament always. It was not letting the bill to be placed in the parliament for discussion. Okay, whatever they have issued now, they have agreed. We welcome that.
We never introduced the bill in Rajya Sabha till now. The disruption of parliament has been on issues like Kashmir, on your Pakistan policy, on Uttarakhand, on
now
Arunachal,
we have
on
agreed.
price rise.
Let us
disruption of
whatever
parliament has been because the country wanted
on
answers.
the issues,
You
we will
were
settle
not
it
ready
in
to give any
the
answers.
parliament.
Ashish, I want your closing comment as well as a question that I will ask you. See, the leaders of both the houses and both the parties work together and engage on many issues. Do you think it's so difficult for two parties to come on consensus? Why do you think that there is no consensus till now, and what would be your closing comment on all these issues related to GST for this debate today?
A few days back, when the preliminary meeting, so-called preliminary meeting happened,
yes,
and Mr. Arun Jaitley went up to our leader of opposition, Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad's room.
Yes.
So there was a headline somewhere, what I remember, it took almost 2 years for the finance minister to cross 100 yards.
Yes.
So that headline says all about the intent of this government in passing the GST bill.
Yes.
Second point, the three things for which everybody agreed, and now they will have to come around. That could have been sorted out right in the beginning, and this entire delay wouldn't have happened. And that ring fencing of 18%, additional 1% tax not being there, and independent grievance redressal mechanism for which they had been insisting the GST Council will redress any contentious issues.
Okay.
But GST Council itself is part of the party. Part to the party. If there's a dispute between the state and the GST body, how can a body which is itself culprit can judge for itself?
Okay, I take your point.
So these were the
I take your closing comment.
for which
Ashutosh,
government
very
should have come
quickly,
around
in 20
much
seconds, give me your
sooner.
closing comment before I go to Gopal for his closing comment.
GST is good in the long run,
Yes.
and it's bad in the short run.
Yes.
But what I see here are the party spokespersons just parroting their lines. As a consumer, I don't see, as an observer, them getting together, and there are a lot of objections which even Mayawati and other parties will
So
raise.
you mean you see a lot of hurdles?
Yeah,
Gopal?
5 hours of debate is not enough.
Okay, okay. So Ashutosh is seeing hurdles clearly, and when he concludes, Gopal, what would be your closing comment for today's debate?
I welcome the opposition parties for their support to the GST, and we are very sure and hopeful that this in this monsoon session this GST bill will be passed, because all the major contentious issues have been resolved and everybody has agreed that this is good for the economy. We are open to all kind of debates. Even if there are any changes, let they be discussed on the parliament, and if all agree to those changes, we as a Modi government will agree to those changes. So therefore we are open to all recommendation changes and discussions, debates. So I don't see any hurdle in passing this.
Thank you. I'm totally out of time. Thank you, Gopal. Thank you, Ashish. And thank you, Ashutosh, for joining us on the discussion today. So as we see, the BJP claims that they've got Congress and other opposition parties on its side to actually pass the GST for the nation. Let us see if that happens in this monsoon session. We will track this issue for you here on News World India. Thank you so much for joining us on this debate today.